All right, so let's see what wants to come through today. Greetings, dear one.
Greetings, welcome, and thank you.
It is a pleasure.
Who am I speaking with?
It is I, Mary.
Ah, love.
You say love. Love is important at this time.
It is.
The frequency of love is a lovely high vibration. When we capture the love vibration, it affects all. Humans have trouble with the unconditional love aspect. The human mind creates barriers around love and expectation. If you learn to allow love to flow without judgment, it spreads. Like a beautiful moss carpeting the earth. There is much fear, much loss and grief at this time. Show each other compassion and love. Love thy neighbor, but love thy enemy as well. For love is the only way to combat fear, anger, injustice. There is much of that as well. Equality is a concept that appears to be difficult, but it is really quite simple. You are all equal. You all contain a beautiful spark of love. Where you see the difference is what you choose to do with that. You are all connected. When you treat another as less than, you are treating yourself as less than. That is not what we want for you, dear ones. You are all deserving of love. No matter what choices you make. Justice is about learning to make different choices. Justice in your world has become punitive. This was not the original intent of the word justice. Justice is meant to allow others to learn that there are other choices that can be made that are more compassionate. Many have been programmed to think that they are undeserving of love. However, will love someone else. When you love someone else, you are loving you because you are all connected. When you make a choice to not love someone else or to not see their value or appreciate their essence, you are making a choice not to appreciate your value and your essence. This is a concept that must be spoken about. When you learn that you are all connected, there is a benefit to loving yourself as you might love others. This, of course, is something that many struggle with. There is much programming that has created the energy of guilt when one cares for self. It is important to care for self because you are part of the whole. You have a responsibility to the collective. And when we say care for self, it is not solely about pampering. It is about looking at all the inner workings of self. What is it that you need? What do you require? We feel that you will find many times that what you require is to love yourself for who you are, without expectation and comparing yourself to others. your perception becomes your reality. If your perception is clouded by programming or from what you've been told, it creates beliefs about self that are illusions. They are not your true self. Your true self is divine love. That essence of you is love. There is much strife on the earth at this time. With your leaders, they too need love. Creating hate between humans is unfortunate. It is as though you are creating self-hatred. And how can you hate when you are of love? If your pure self and their pure self is of love, where does that hate come from? And why is that a benefit at this time? Of course, as humans, you are there to learn. And that is where we must show forgiveness. Forgiveness is a form of love. It is an important concept. And it means something different for each person in each situation. It requires you to do some, as you might put it, soul searching or self-reflection. What is it that requires forgiveness? Many of you look outside yourself to a person that would require your forgiveness. But in a sense, it is you that requires self-forgiveness. Because it is you that is having the emotional, energetic reaction. This is partially what I mean by self-care. Care for self. Compassion for self. Good and bad are simply labels. They are labels that give you a framework to understand how you make your decisions. There are times when this framework needs to change. There are times when good and bad become important because they lead you to the compassionate decision. When a good decision does not lead you to a compassionate one, I ask you, is it still a good decision? If it leads you to a position of being fearful, of feeling unfulfilled, is this a good decision? As human beings, you try to avoid emotional response. We invite you to think about emotions as indicators, as guides. When you have an emotion that does not feel good, or it feels uncomfortable, this is resistance to the idea or the situation. When you have resistance, this is not necessarily the best choice. You were not meant to be on earth in resistance. Yes, you will bump up against it from time to time, but it is not what you are meant to do. The bumping up against is, of course, learning. Learning is what you're meant to do. So the emotions are an important part of that process. For how do you learn without some feedback? When you tap into your body or the emotion and what it feels like, you can use it as a barometer, shall we say, a measurement tool. It helps you to measure the amount of resistance to the situation. If you think about when your fight or flight response kicks in for you, this is often a large response. And it happens in times of danger. This is an important one to have because there are, as we know, some dangers in the physical reality, dangers to the physical body. So that emotion does help to keep your physical body safe. But there are many emotions that will help you to make decisions. We invite you to think about a decision and feel it in your body. Is it comfortable in the body? Actually feel what it would be like to make that decision. Is it uncomfortable? Then there may be resistance. It is not to say that you must avoid resistance entirely, because as we mentioned, this is how we learn. This is how we navigate the physical existence. But if you can understand that it is simply an experience, and that beautiful essence of self is always safe, it can help you to understand and put things into perspective. It will help you to frame your thoughts differently. We encourage all to practice compassion at this time for others and most importantly for self. Love is the key. I thank you for your attention.
I thank you for your kind words and your expression of love.
You are so loved.
As are you.
You are all so loved. Many blessings.
And to you.
Thank you. There we go.